Starfield is one of the most anticipated games for 2023, and that's for a good reason. Hello Spacefarers, I'm Sir Absurd, and I'm going to talk about my expectations for Starfield. Bethesda has a long history of creating immersive and expansive RPGs, and Starfield promises to be the most ambitious of those projects yet, like surpassing the conversation lines that we had before, and also bringing back the muted protagonist, and enables the game to have a lot more depth. It loses a bit of the cinematic having a muted protagonist, but I think it compensates with the depth. Because we play Bethesda games not for the cinematic aspect, but more for the depth and of the lore that involves in it. And being a new story that we don't have that much info, considering how much info probably there is about it, that makes me really excited. It's a new story, it's a new idea, it's a vast detailed universe for us to explore. Bethesda said that there will be 1000 planets, and each planet will have its own environmental history. The planets will be procedurally generated, and that's a good thing because that enables them to create more DLC content later. Another thing that keeps me excited about it is the wide variety of gameplay options. I mean, you can say that Mass Effect has like some variety in that, but there's not that many options. When you consider that in Starfield you can choose to not even need to kill someone, probably if you play a stealthy or charismatic character, you won't need to actually kill anyone in the game. And I think someone in the community will have a video with they playing from start to finish the main mission without killing anyone, being stealthy, being charismatic, and just using intimidation and persuasion to go through the main mission. That would be very interesting to see. And so this variety of possibilities to play is one thing that really attracts me in Bethesda games. You can be from a thief, very stealthy, roguelike, to a warrior that just wants to go in with a shotgun, blasting through. And you can also be a charismatic leader like a bard in some way. And also now with more expansions, you can actually build your own base, you can have your own fleet. Each new Bethesda game, they keep inserting stuff in the game that makes it more complex, so they need more time to finish. But each time is like a little bit there that makes it a little bit better. Skyrim, you could like buy your home and somewhat build a house. And then in Fallout 4, they included the whole building settlement. A thing I didn't like in the settlements in Fallout was that every settler there, not counting main characters, all other settlers were just settlers in the name. In Starfield we have characters with names, not like a random dude, and that's part of the procedurally generated characters. You can just like procedurally generate a name, procedurally generate character there. You see this sequence of improvements. Also the visual experience. I mean, if you look at the vanilla version of Skyrim today, it's bad. At that time, back in 2011, it was like, okay, good graphics, considering the scale of the game, because at that time no game had that scale in a single-player RPG game. I don't recall any that was like that scale, considering everything, and that you could touch and move everything. Then we had Fallout 4 with good graphics for that time, not groundbreaking, because one thing we see is that no Bethesda games like groundbreaking graphics. Maybe just Oblivion in 2005 had like those, oh my god, those graphics. I remember seeing a guy in a conference say, oh my god, it's almost real, talking about Oblivion graphics. They were really cool for that time. I was just a kid back then, but I remember like watching the trailers and saying, oh my god, this is the future of gaming. But then after that they did a good call, focus more on the story and not so much on graphics. I think that's a good call. So now we get to Starfield, and a good thing is that actually the graphics look good. So they are using a continuation of the engine they used for Skyrim and Fallout. That's a good thing, might also be a bad thing, because every engine has its limitations. You can of course be improving it and changing it. Some core features are hard to change, and that's why some people just move over to another engine. But Bethesda is keeping with the same engine as the Creative Engine. So now they're using Creative Engine 2 for Starfield, which is good because the modding community is gonna be already used to how it works. So this actually facilitates for the community to start making mods. There's a big part of the modding community of the Elder Scrolls that's working on Oblivion. That's one of the biggest modding projects I have ever seen. They're just finishing remaking all of Oblivion in Skyrim's engine. They're gonna finish it in 2025. You can watch some gameplays of them developing it and actually playing in the new Oblivion area. And I hope that when they finish in 2025, probably they're gonna move over to Starfield. So this creative engine too, it has improvements because you see an engine. I have worked a bit in software development, and this just changing the number is actually a thing that comes when you see, okay, we changed so much of the engine, we need to just call it like engine 2 because it's so much thing we changed from the original one. So that's why they give like a 2 for it. They keep inserting new modules. I know that for Elder Scrolls 6 they had this new module about photogeometry. Some people were actually worried about this keeping the same engine. Some friends of mine say they don't play Bethesda games because they feel very clunky. They don't are very fluid, like The Witcher 3 is one friend of mine gave me that as an example. But yes, but The Witcher 3 also has not the depth of interaction that a Bethesda game has. Like being able to take a cup and just running away stealing it. Each game has its way of playing. The important thing is just to be entertaining in the way the game was made to play. One thing that makes me sad about Starfield is that they made an exclusive deal with AMD and you won't be able to use DLSS 3 in the game. We will have a modder that will enable DLSS as soon as it releases, so I'm not actually worried about that. But this brings to another question that Bethesda usually does not allow you to get achievements in the game while you're using mods. And that's something very annoying because Cyberpunk and other games allow you to have mod zone and continue to get achievements in the game. But I understand it because they don't want you to actually download the mods. They want you to use the in-game creative shop to get the mods, so you have to pay for the mods instead of just downloading them online. I get that's their deal, but I think the community would really appreciate if they could just get the mods and still be able to get the achievements. So among the other things that I like about Skyrim is actually the lifespan of the game. If this game happens to be like Skyrim, we will be playing it in the next 10 years. So you must remember that Skyrim came out, it was very buggy and stuff. This one probably will be released less buggy. They said it's gonna be the most polished release from Bethesda. I mean, they postponed 1 year the release of the game, so they had all this time to polish it. So I really believe they're gonna deliver on it because they usually play safe, and what I mean with that is that they use the same mechanics from before. When you play a Bethesda game, at least the ones released by the Bethesda, I'm not talking about phone games or the MMO that another company actually that developed the MMO for the Elder Scrolls. I'm talking about the main games from Bethesda. The main releases, not the side games. They use basically the same mechanic. You played Oblivion, they basically use the same mechanics for Skyrim. They do improvements, they change something. Some people don't like the changes. I usually like the changes they make. So they make improvements from Oblivion to Skyrim, from Skyrim to Fallout, and from Fallout now to Starfield. So all those improvements, they keep aggregating, making the game feel more sophisticated because it has more details. They also hear some feedback from the community. They of course take a look at the mods that people make. So each game they bring something to ease the life of the gamer. And if they fail in something there always going to be a modder that's gonna bring a fix for that. I think Bethesda Games has the biggest mod community out there. At least if you go to Nexus and you see like the number of downloads and files for Skyrim and Fallout 4, they are on the top of the list. Summarizing, my expectations for the game are good, and I hope you are also excited to play it because it's been a while since the last release from Bethesda. I played Bethesda games since I was 11 years old. I played Oblivion back in 2005. You remember the first games from Silent Hill? You had a lot of mist, and actually the mist was kind of masking the fact that the consoles of that time could not render that much detail, so the mist was actually camouflating the fact that the game could not render everything without crashing your console. Back in 2005, with my potato PC, I was playing Oblivion as if it was a Silent Hill game. I could barely see 5 meters away from me, and now I bet I can like play Oblivion in full graphics in my phone. Summarizing, my expectations for Starfield are good, okay? Because they're gonna play safe, A lot of the mechanics are gonna come from the other games. The main thing is gonna be the lore. If it's gonna really please everyone, it's gonna say, oh, this lore is really sick, dude. Or if the game doesn't deliver on story, then we will have a big problem. If the gameplay is good, but the story is bad, then I think the game is gonna flop. Bethesda is a particular case because even if the story is awesome and the gameplay is bad, the modders can fix that. But the big problem here is that as it's a new game, a new story, if the story is bad and the universe is not convincing, then there's no modder that can actually fix that because it's not a gameplay thing, it's like a whole universe. But by what we saw, I think the story is gonna be good, okay? I think the universe is gonna be good. So I'm tending to say this game is gonna be a good bet. So thanks for watching, I'm Sir Absurd. If you want to click on the side here, there's gonna be some box for you to watch another videos from the channel.